Welcome back to the Slow Flowers Podcast with Deborah Prinzing, episode 488. This is the weekly podcast about slow flowers and the people who grow and design with them. It's all about making a conscious choice, and I invite you to join the conversation and the creative community as we discuss the vital topics of saving our domestic flower farms and supporting a floral industry that relies on a safe, seasonal, and local supply of flowers and foliage. This podcast is brought to you by slowflowers.com, the free online directory to more than 800 florists, shops, and studios who design with local, seasonal, and sustainable flowers, and to the farms that grow those blooms. It's the conscious choice for buying and sending flowers. And thank you to our lead sponsor for 2021, Farm Girl Flowers. Farm Girl Flowers delivers iconic burlap wrap bouquets and lush, abundant arrangements to customers across the U.S., supporting more than 20 U.S. flower farms by purchasing more than $9 million of U.S.-grown fresh and seasonal flowers and foliage annually, providing competitive salaries and benefits to 240 team members based in Watsonville, California, and Miami, Florida. Discover more at farmgirlflowers.com. For each podcast episode this year, we will also thank 3 of our major sponsors. Our first thanks goes to the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers. Formed in 1988, ASCFG was created to educate, unite, and support commercial cut flower growers. Its mission is to help growers produce high-quality floral material and to foster and promote the local availability of that product. Learn more at ascfg.org. Hello, friends. It's 2021, and I couldn't be happier to welcome you to our fun conversation today. Anyone who's been part of the Slow Flowers community knows how deeply we value professional contacts that develop into friendships. And today you will meet 2 women who are Slow Flowers members and now both my neighbors and friends. I live in a little suburb of Seattle called Des Moines, Washington, which is just south of the metropolis. Our first guest is Cindy Sriac, owner of CMS Floral Design, based here in Des Moines. And our second guest is Gina Thresher of From the Ground Up Floral, located in Kent, Washington, the much larger community just to the east of us. Both women have home-based studios, and as it turns out, I learned that both started their floral journeys about 12 years ago. Cindy will explain how she organically built CMS Floral Design while working full-time in a corporate job, and Gina will share a somewhat similar path, beginning when she designed the flowers for her own wedding, and then growing her studio while raising her 2 young children. I feel so much affection for both of these women. Earlier this year, after the death of my father, I was so touched that friends who wanted to send their sympathies ordered floral arrangements for me by looking at slowflowers.com to find my local florists. Both Cindy and Gina delivered heartfelt, stunning arrangements that my family, including my mother, and I really enjoyed. In addition to CMS Floral Design's focus on flowers for corporate clients and everyday orders, Cindy owns Seattle Elegant Soffre, a specialty design service for Persian wedding ceremonies. She'll tell us how the soffre is a cultural tradition that is created in addition to the wedding flowers, incorporating several features and ingredients that are symbolic and meaningful. Gina started From the Ground Up Floral, transitioning to a full-service floral design practice after studying invertebrate biology. As you'll hear in our conversation, her business formation began with her own wedding flowers, which she designed. She explains, "I was that DIY crazy bride, the one that doesn't really notice she's spending a fortune to ruin her nails and causing her family to panic when she doesn't have the boutonnieres done at 3 a.m. the morning of the wedding." Hooked, Gina took classes and pursued floral certifications at the national and international level, including AIFD, that's American Institute of Floral Designers, and EMC, European Master's Certification. She teaches in person and virtual design courses, lectures, and is active on social media, primarily as the Pacific Northwest chapter president for AIFD. So let's jump right in and get started. Enjoy meeting Gina and Cindy. Welcome back to the Slow Flowers podcast with Deborah Prinzing, and we're kicking off 2021 with a fabulous conversation with 2 amazing guests. I call this Meet My Neighborhood Florists. I have 2 good friends who are part of Slow Flowers who actually, we all live in the same community, And so I just feel like I need to show the love and tell their stories. So first I'll welcome Cindy Sriac of CMS Floral Design. Hi, Cindy.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. Cindy's in Des Moines, Washington, which is the same zip code I have. There's only, it's a small town, and where she's just down the street. And I'm also thrilled to welcome Gina Thresher from the Ground Up Floral, based in Kent, Washington, which is the next town over. Hi, Gina.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me, both of you. Some of you may recognize Gina if you joined one of the Slow Flowers meetups earlier this year. She was a guest of that fun event. So we were talking about something else. So we weren't really talking about just her business. So this is fun. Well, we're going to talk about both of you as studio florists and kind of how your business is shaped and how we're pivoting and all of that stuff. And also, I think we'll try to look to the future and shrug off 2020. So, Cindy, I don't know how I first met you, but I think it was because we met at the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, which is also how Gina and I met. So give us a snapshot of CMS Floral Design and how you describe yourself and, what your scope of services are.
Great. Well, CMS Floral Design, I started 12 years ago, while I still was doing a corporate job at the same time. It was always my dream to move on and be a studio florist. In the beginning, I thought I needed to have a storefront, and I, talked to real estate, and then I got to thinking about it. Do I want to be in a storefront at 3 a.m. finishing up my designs? And everybody out there knows how that goes. But so that was 12 years ago, and there were several times I was ready to stop because I thought I can't do this and work at the same time. But it gave me a lot of time to get my feet underneath me. And I started going to the growers market in the very beginning when it opened up, and just met incredible people there. And it just encouraged me to keep on going, that it wasn't this big, scary thing. I could take it one bite at a time. And I did, just slowly started introducing myself to people. And that was the key, is to see people in the market that I didn't know, walk up, stick my hand out and say, what's your floral design company? And it was amazing how many helpful hands there were.
Wow.
But the scope of my business is, when I very first started, I thought, I'm going to be a corporate florist. Well, I didn't really have a way of getting my foot in the door that I was aware of. So I started out doing weddings, and it all started from telling people that I was a florist. I went to the Seattle Floral Design Institute. Now it's out of Portland. I guess it was always out of Portland, but they had a class up here too. Mm-hmm. So what happened is I had an accident where I broke my leg and I couldn't travel for work. And during that time, I had a great manager friend, and I said, would you have any issue with me taking some adult learning classes while I was laid up? And he said, yeah, go ahead. Well, it was floral design classes.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So this kind of fell in place. Not the best way to clear your calendars to break your leg. But then I started out, and I was lucky to have a cousin that just referred me to a bride. And then it just went from there. It really kind of exploded. And I really hadn't intended to be a floral or wedding florist, but it's been a lot of fun. And I've met so many incredible people. And then it just grew from there. Then I ended up getting a corporate account, and that grew into a couple of corporate accounts, and just word of mouth, really, and perseverance, just keep on going and checking with people. And so my main business now has changed a little bit, and we can talk about that more just with the pandemic. But basically I was doing, 1 to 3 weddings a weekend. And then
while working full time.
While working full time. It was not smart.
Yeah. And Cindy, you never did get the retail storefront, right? I mean, you have a cool studio setup, which I've gotten to see. Can you just describe that to people?
Yeah, I was working out of my basement, but in the beginning, because my basement didn't look anything like a studio. In fact, it would have probably scared any clients off, thinking, oh, if she's not organized, there's no way. So we would meet at my dining room table. My husband would go in the back bedroom so he wasn't in the way, and meet at the dining room table. And, that way I could just present this professional look at my dining room table. Mm-hmm. But then as I saved up from my weddings, actually just gutted the basement. One of my company bonuses bought me my first cooler, which you don't necessarily need. I know a lot of designers that don't work with one, but it's convenient. And so took and changed the basement, used my profits to remodel and put up workstations and custom shelves, and everything just works so well now. It was a long process getting there, but it's been worth it.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous space. Maybe we can share a photo of it. It's kind of like a daylight basement in that you have good light from one side, right?
That's nice.
Yes, exactly.
I think,
then putting a lot of can lights too.
and I think the other thing I want to mention before we jump to Gina is, Cindy, you've really turned CMS Floral Design into a family affair. You pretty much employ your family members to work on when you need extra hands, right?
Yes. In fact, we kind of laugh because my husband's cousin, she's retired. My mom, of course, is retired. Sister's retired. So it kind of looks like a senior sweatshop down here. We kind of joke about average age, if we average it out, is like 70. But
hey, I love it.
well, now my mother and my one cousin, they are not as available as they used to be. My mom still comes over and she does corsages and stuff, and she does my books. That's important.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Now I've employed a couple of girlfriends that have retired and just love to create. I kind of discovered them by having some classes. It was kind of like an interview, but they paid for it.
I love it.
Did those classes and then found out, these ladies. I mean, not only do I enjoy their company, they're very talented, hard workers, and so now I actually employ the two of them, and not so much my family, other than the holidays.
I'm just yeah, and I kind of was just teasing.
Oh no, but I really do, and it's really been fun. And it's been, I think, kind of endearing to people when they come to the website. They're like, "Oh wow, you're a family," and it's like, "Yeah, we really are."
I think that's what I've seen is the photo with everyone's wearing their CMS Floral Design T-shirt and or something that matches. I can't remember what it is.
Yes, our shirts.
Your shirts. Wow. I just had the comment that I interviewed. I think Kit Wirtz and Casey Schwartz of Flower Duet. They're in Los Angeles, and they teach a lot of workshops. And they similarly use it as kind of a the farm league, or the feeder pool of identifying who they want to invite to freelance for them, because they think if you've learned my design method, then you're teachable, and you're not going to come in and necessarily try to change things up. You're going to work with my system. Right. I thought was really smart. So good for
really well. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, Gina, jump in. A lot of people know you because you're active on social media. You're very active in AIFD, and you've been teaching online, and I know Cindy has. So let me stop for a second and say, when I first met Gina at the Growers Market, she had a tiny baby, and now that baby is like how old?
She just turned 8.
Oh my gosh. But the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market opened in 2011, and so that just shows the depth of our connections in the Seattle community. Your children have grown up shopping with you there.
Oh yeah, I actually had her in her little car seat, and she got to hold your book. It was really cute.
I actually have that photo. I should find that and post it.
Dig that out. Yeah, Cindy, I'm just waiting for mine to turn old enough to do my boutonnieres and corsages. Can't wait.
Absolutely. Train those kids. Well,
that's what you're hearing in the background, by the way. I apologize. It's a little noisy here.
Oh, I'm not hearing it. No. Well,
okay.
So Gina,
all I can hear is that.
So from the ground up Floral isn't your first business name though. You used to have a different brand, right?
Yeah. So I did rebrand probably, I think it's been almost 6 years. It's been quite a few years since I rebranded, but I was Il Bel Fiore. And after a couple of rides, I realized nobody could remember that name. It just wasn't memorable. The whole reason I came up with it was basically I incorporated myself very quickly. I got a business license so I could get a wholesale license so that I could shop for my own wedding. I did my own wedding. That's how I got into this. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. We carted all of the florals down to the Oregon coast and had our wedding on the beach. And I fell in love with flowers after that. I did it very part-time when my kids were little, but they're getting older now. And I went full-time a few years ago. So Yeah, mainly weddings and events. I've just always had a soft spot for weddings.
Hmm.
So
I love the name From the Ground Up Floral. And you recently also told me that there was a double meaning for that, which
yeah.
surprised me, but I loved it.
My dreams of opening a retail shop, like, Cindy, I think we all kind of have that little retail bug for a minute. But mine was basically to open a coffee shop along with a flower shop. So it kind of had a dual purpose meaning.
The
I
ground.
still might get around to it, building my little empire over here, but
Kent
that
needs
was
you.
the idea.
But you kind of downplay the fact that you did everything part-time, Gina, because in the course of, since you started your business, which I don't know how long ago it was that like 10 years or so?
Yeah, I've been married for 12 years. So I missed the Floral Design Institute by 1 year.
Oh my
Cindy.
gosh, you guys are kind of about the same maturation in your businesses then.
I missed them by 1 year. So I had to take all my courses online. But I've gone to Oregon to, learn with Leanne. And I'm kind of trying to follow in her footsteps, and I'm actually teaching as well. So it's been a journey, I'll tell you.
Wow. But in that course of 12 years, you have pursued kind of a professional, I guess, milestones that other people might not have realized were available to them, like AIFD and EMC, and that you're very active in, especially in AIFD right now. You're the president, right, of the Northwest chapter?
So I am our Northwest chapter president. AIFD is a really fun group of people. It's all about learning and sharing, honestly. That's why I believe in it. It's a whole national wide community of florists that share their knowledge. And we get together every year for a giant symposium. It's like going to Floral Disneyland. So yeah, and we do a lot of fundraising and really great educational events in the region as well, but it's kind of been limited, with COVID and everything. But yeah, if anybody has any questions on how to join, where to start, how you get there, it does involve like testing in, so you have to be accepted to join. But yeah, it's a really great community of people. I don't think I would be where I am today without it. I've learned so much. And then EMC is the European Master's Certificate. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
It was like going to botany school, right? I heard.
It's about the equivalent of what they do is they take a 3-year program and they squeeze it into about a year. And it's very encompassing. You learn a lot, and then you get to go and test in Bruges, which it was very trying.
Which is in Brussels, right?
Yeah, Brussels.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Belgium. It was really great because I got to go to Floral more, which if anybody ever has the experience, like opportunity to do that, just it's well worth it. It's amazing.
Maybe amazing. Can you share some photos of some of the things that you've done with EMC
definitely.
and AIFD?
I'll send you some. I have a whole photo album. I just took pictures. So many pictures.
well, let's talk about adjusting in 2020. Cindy, I know that, you described, when did you start going full time?
I went full time 5 years ago.
Okay.
I got a nice call from my company saying my job was going to be eliminated, and I did backflips because I was so ready.
Like, thank you for firing me.
Yeah, well,
they didn't fire you, but they eliminated your position. Yeah.
Right. And you know what? It was, the happiest day because I've been working towards that. I was going to go ahead and give my notice in December. Well, August, they decided that my role was going to be eliminated, and I was so ready to go. So it just worked out perfect. I felt very fortunate. So then I went full time, and it's been busy ever since.
Well, I know that weddings really drove a lot of your business for years. And there is one thing that you do that's really special in the wedding world that I think you should talk about, because it's a specialty in a cultural sense that you've developed as one of your niches, right?
Yes, I do Persian wedding soufrés, and the soufré is actually their altar. Much like in an Indian wedding, they'll have a mandap for their altar. The Persian soufré is called a wedding spread.
Mm.
And there's like 35 different symbolic things that are part of the soufre, and flowers are a very important part of it. And it's been such a nice surprise for me because I was totally accepted into the culture. First, there's little questions like, you don't sound like you are Persian. Do you speak Farsi? And it's like, no, but I've studied Persian weddings for about 10 years. My first one I went to was about 25 years ago. It happens to be my cousin's wife is Persian, and that was the first wedding. And I was just amazed by the symbolism in it. The wedding service is over 4,000 years old. And it's just passed on. A lot of times traditionally the mom would put together the spread. But now with, moms working and so much production work goes into some of the weddings, that they found that they'd rather enjoy the wedding. And so
they bring in a special designer to do it for the ceremony.
Right, exactly. So that's really led to a lot of business and just so much fun. It's just a really nice cultural experience, and I've met so many people that I've just fell in love with.
I'm imagining it's a lot of word of mouth referrals then.
Yes, I do have a website that's Seattle Elegant Soufre with pictures of the different types of, there's traditional style, there's organic style. It's pretty much anything a bride might want. They put their I guess, style associated with it, whatever their likes are. And then we just work in all the traditional stuff to go in fit. But it has been mostly word of mouth. A couple of people come through the website, but yeah, it's been a lot of word of mouth, and it's just been a blast.
Cindy, I bet you do know a few words of Farsi after all this time. Like hello and thank you or something.
Yeah, well, but the words of the different things that come on the soufre, nabat, and I'm just stuck now all of a sudden, but
that's so cool.
It's amazing.
Well,
I encourage you to look at my website.
Yeah, we'll share a link, and maybe you can share a photo or of one of the
soufre.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you spell soufre?
And soufre is spelled Sofreh.
Cool. Wow, that's interesting. So, in 2020. I know a lot of designers had postponements of weddings. And Gina, maybe you can talk a little bit about how you've coped with that and kept super busy nonetheless, right? I don't know that you've replaced the income, but you and I've done a fun...
It's been very interesting.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I mean, honestly, it's a little disheartening, to be honest. With the new brides and everything's looking very super booked for them. I've had a few that are like panicking, like, oh my gosh, I need to book my florist now. And I'm like, yeah, you probably should, because I've got like 5 or 6, almost probably 10 weddings that I had to reschedule to next year. And it's 2021. Yeah. So I didn't charge for that. I felt it was fair, to just move them accordingly. There was one wedding where I had to move like 3 times. But it's been interesting for sure, moving all of the events around, and, really trying to keep sane about it. I didn't really feel like it was anybody's fault. So I didn't feel like charging them just seemed kind of not what I wanted to do in my business.
charging
the rescheduling fee and, you're changing the pricing, and I just chose to honor all of that. I did have a kind of a disclaimer, like, hey, if the pricing goes up a little bit, I'm going to have to switch some stuff around. But for the most part, what seems to be the trend was they had to downsize. So I had one person cancel, and that was because she was from out of town. So that was that totally makes sense. She's in San Diego. She can't come.
Yeah.
But everybody else was pretty good about, everybody's been so different in what they choose to do and how they want to handle it. So I've kind of been very open and very flexible as far as that goes. It's like, sure, you can have the same amount of flowers. It's just going to be really pretty for the smaller intimate ceremony and, whatever else that we're allowed to do.
So when you started out and said it was disheartening, you were referring to the fact that couples and brides were discouraged, and you're
really
trying
to have to reschedule your wedding. And I feel it too, because a lot of these events, like I was looking forward to doing, because I love weddings, but you get that like in your head, you're like, oh, I got to do this really cool bouquet and like look at these centerpieces, they're going to be amazing. And then you're like, oh, crap. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. We have to move it. So that's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you fill your time? Well, let me just stop and say, both of you brought me beautiful flowers that were ordered through the Slow Flowers website when we lost my dad in the spring. And in the past, I did not perceive either of you as kind of delivery florists or everyday florists. And I feel like maybe for both of you, that was a kind of an unexpected change in 2020, would you say?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I do the occasions. I just don't advertise it as much. And I've gotten quite a few orders off of Slow Flowers. So I'm really glad that I joined, honestly. I don't know about you, Cindy, but it's kind of one of those things. I don't keep a whole lot of stuff in stock. So if somebody orders from me, it's probably a pretty special occasion. Like I'll say, hey, I can get this delivered this date because I have to go get product for it. And I happen to be pretty lucky about that, though. Like I usually tend to get orders in bunches, like groups. So, I can afford to not have wasted product.
Yeah. So hopefully not the same day kind of thing is what you're saying.
Right. I don't do same day.
Yeah.
And I really kind of disclose that because I do have people call and they're like, can I get an order out today? And I'm like, well, no.
No, but if you want
tomorrow,
something.
But yeah, there's kind of a cutoff window, especially when your wholesalers close at noon.
Yeah. But it's kind of you're treating it more like a custom design, not just a one-off. And Cindy, how about you?
I've really pivoted with the pandemic happening. I got really depressed, and I think a lot of people did. Brides were calling, and of course, they've planned on their dream wedding, and we've done the work, we've done the pricing, all that stuff. But I really just felt bad for them, just because an exciting day. I rescheduled several of them. There's a few I couldn't, so I referred them. And that's one thing about having a community. You can refer somebody and feel really good about giving that referral. But I've pivoted, and I'm more of a delivery order florist now, and I'm loving it. My husband has always said, gee, I'm really happy your business is thriving, but it would be nice to do something on a weekend. And, I could hear that, and I understood it, but I just couldn't say no because I love working with brides. But it really opened my eyes. So the silver lining has been that I found that making the switch, I'm really happy. I'm loving doing different designs all day long. My phone rings off the hook, which I was so surprised. But it's just been a pivot for me. It was a silver lining, and I'm going to, finish the reschedules that I've done. And I still do the one-off weddings here and there, but I've become more of a corporate florist and everyday delivery person now. Wow. And it's been fabulous.
Wow. So how do you think people are finding you? First of all, I have to say, there's been this little retail flower shop in downtown Des Moines that has had, since I've lived here, when I moved here in 2017, there have been 3 different tenants. So you don't have much competition for the local market, I'm sure. Are people finding you just by Googling Des Moines florist, or?
People have figured out the 1-800 numbers aren't what they expect. And I'm really surprised how much people have educated themselves. So they'll call me. It's like, I went to your website. I can tell those pictures are yours. And, then they see the family page. So having a very simple kind of homegrown website has really helped because people are looking for that along with finding, locally grown, American grown flowers. But it's just simple. And I think you might be able to tell it's kind of homemade, but it actually has been a benefit. And the florists that have been in that retail section are still, they were wanting to go to studio just because, financially things have changed.
Oh, I see. And so you know who that is.
Yeah. And I've stayed in contact with them because when I can't do something, I send it to them because just like me, they're trying to grow a home business, and I try to support other florists whenever possible. There's plenty of work to go around. And that's been a really fun thing too. It's just the community has been such a surprise and a bonus. So
yeah, that's interesting because you when you mentioned that when you started introducing yourself to people at the growers market, I had this thought in my mind, like, wow, you probably felt pretty isolated before that because you're stuck in your basement and, weddings they're one and done. Then you don't have that continuity with a client relationship either.
Yes, it definitely, that's been one of the bonuses is the friendships at the wholesale market. It's like my social hour. My husband will say, wow, you're gone for 2 hours to get your flowers. It's like, well, yeah, about an hour of that was socializing too. But that's how you make those connections. You learn from the other people, and it's just a real blessing.
Well, I just want to ask you about one more thing, and then we'll jump to Gina. You told me that you go to the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market. You probably know all the farmers. That's probably like a 20-minute drive from where we live. But you told me that you have developed this like local, hyper-local source with some growers in our town. And I've seen the sandwich board, but I've never found their property. So you have to take me there next summer. Tell me how reliable is that for you?
It's been fabulous. I would drive down the hill and I'd see this little sandwich board that'd say flowers Thursday through Sunday and, advertising $15 bouquets. I thought, well, I'm just going to drive by there and see what's up. Well, it wasn't just people making bouquets. They actually have a farm. Nicest family. They have turned their garage into a cooler. And I can call them and say, gee, I need, 3 buckets of tulips. Their tulips are gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. We need a field trip there, Gina.
Okay. I think I need to add to that field trip. There's another one that I've just found, Sweetbriar Farm.
Where is that?
Closer to Enumclaw, but okay. I think I've driven past the one that you're talking about in Des Moines. And
yeah, it's like 16th Avenue.
Yeah, I've kind of been curious too, because I think I've seen that sandwich board. So I'm always like,
But it's like literally in the neighborhood, right, Cindy? I mean, it's just,
yeah.
I think I maybe drove past it because I was not slowing down enough.
Yeah, they're kind of down a little bit off the road, and you wouldn't think it'd be, there's no really signage. They'll have a tent up just to keep dry, but it's a mom and pop, and they have their own growing down in Kent. And they're fabulous. They'll hold buckets for me. They do beautiful irises and tulips and just all kinds of cool greenery. And they're just so nice.
But then you can tell your clients like this is more local than anything. It's like it's coming from a few blocks from my house.
Yep.
That's
and they're
so
just
cool.
For people. And then the other one, that farm is named Lore Farms. It's LOR Farms in Des Moines. The other one is Lee Farms, and they have a booth at the public market. But the gentleman, Scott, he does a local commercial for one of the banks, but he sells down at the Des Moines market when they have that open. Well, he lives in Burien, so I can call him and he'll literally set a bucket out on the porch and I can swing by and pick it up. So,
that's awesome.
I just have to say, I only know of Lee Farms because I buy the meal delivery service from Maven Meals, which is based in Des Moines, which is a woman-owned, organic kind of prepared meals business. And this year she added Lee Farms bouquets to the order form. So you could just add $15 to, your entrees and get a bouquet delivered. And I always wondered, what is this Lee Farms? So you've answered a big question for me. Wow.
Yeah, super people again. It's just picked up the phone and called, and very accommodating. I was doing an event for Alaska Airlines, and they wanted to set up something that looked like the public market. And I thought, well, time involved and stuff, maybe I'll just call one of the vendors at the public market. And so he sold me these pre-made bulk, arrangements. We wrapped them in market paper and everything, because then I could focus on the, 50 other arrangements I needed to do.
The other part of the event.
It was a real win-win there that we could collaborate together, and he was thrilled to get the business, and I was happy to be able to manage that one display.
Well, and just mentioning these farms, these are probably growers, and also the one, Gina, I want you to jump in. They're probably too small to sell the volume at a place like the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, but they probably really appreciate a florist purchasing because your quantities are more than just like one person buying a $15 bouquet at the farmer's market, right?
Yeah. So she doesn't have, it's a very small, I actually went and visited and she took me on a little tour. She reached out, actually, I think she was in one of the farmer florist groups on Facebook. And I was like, where are you? Like your poppies. Mm-hmm. People were going nuts because she has like the Shirley poppies and she has all this. I did a bouquet with her Shirley poppies and they were just.
Everybody wants every stem available.
So I'm like, wait, I can't wait until spring. I've got spring fever so bad. But yeah, she doesn't have a whole lot of stuff, but when I can buy a bucket from her, I totally I had her a whole bunch of her sunflowers for a sunflower wedding over the summer, and they were amazing. She
Wow.
even grew like little smaller ones. Like she picked off the side buds for me for boutonnieres. So yeah, you just have to tell them what you need.
It's interesting in the Slow Flowers member survey. I don't know if either of you had time to fill it out, but I've been combing through over 200 comments, or 200, more than 200 people responded. And for every one of the questions, there's like at least 150 comments. And I've been combing through them, and one was sort of asking people what they see on the horizon for 2021 in their business, their floral enterprise. And a number of people talked about wanting to, growers talked about wanting to collaborate more with florists. Mm-hmm. And florists, I could sort of tell who was answering, but the florist would comment and say, buying farm direct is fabulous. I want to support local farmers. So you both are kind of alluding to that being just a regular daily practice for you.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we did talk about that. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the last video chat we did, but the Florvana Summit, Tonelli was actually talking about building relationships with your your local growers. And I thought that was the coolest concept.
Yes.
And I was glad to hear that it's going to be more prevalent in the next couple of years. I think it's amazing. Mm-hmm. I plan on starting to grow some of my own stuff because my mom has 5 acres.
Gina, you got a farm right there. Where does your mom live?
It's insane, but I can't grow things. So I've been trying to work on, I've propagated some stuff. I'm working on it. I have a notorious black thumb, but the times when I can get those really cool products, like nobody else is going to have those. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I look to the local growers.
Where is your mother's 5 acres?
So she's out in Enumclaw.
Okay.
She's,
that's pretty close. It's like maybe 20, 30 minutes from you?
Yeah, it's about 30-ish. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't be an everyday thing for me to go there, but she's at home right now with my grandma. So she has plenty of
time. So she needs to grow for you.
I know. I'm like, Mom, I will pay you to grow for me. So this is what's on the pipeline for me, I think.
Well, both of you have mentioned that you started teaching more in 2020, and I want to hear about that. Cindy, I was telling you that the virtual florist is one of my insights for 2021, and you are a virtual florist in what you did.
Yeah, I was at first a little, I guess, afraid of doing it, just doing the Zoom. But in my corporate job, I did WebExes all the time to do training. I thought, well, this is no different. It's just more fun. So I reached out. I reached out to a senior living apartment complex down at South Center because I was doing flowers for the hotel next door. And I just walked over there and I asked, do you ever do any, classes for your seniors or activities? And they actually have a social director. So I left my information, and lo and behold, she called me. And it was after they had been locked down for a while, and she said, is there any way we could do virtual classes? And they said, well, I sure will try. And so the first class was Ikebana. And I would say most of the people on the phone, which included gentlemen too, had to be 70 and up. And they all know how to Zoom because they all Zoom with their families. So They were a couple up on me. But I delivered the product in bundles and their little vases and frogs and everything. And they did an excellent job. And they were so excited that they all emailed pictures so that I could see what their results were.
How cool.
And then we did another class with grapevine wreaths. And it went really well. I mean, I just went out and I bought 15 glue guns on Amazon and clippers, and I sterilized all the stuff with bleach before I deliver it in the little bags. And it was a real blast. And it lifted my spirits because I was feeling, just sad about things that were going on. Mm-hmm. So
because you had been in the past taught more intimate, like one-on-one or small group classes in your studio, right?
I would do small group classes, 6 to 10 people. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I did have one more class after the pandemic and we could be outside, but I'm looking forward to going back to that. I had a lot of people that we've done wreaths and centerpieces and kind of a traditional thing now, reaching out to me, are you going to be able to do that? It's like at a certain point, it was just not going to be safe. And So we'll just have to
Yeah.
look forward. I feel very hopeful.
Yeah, get your vaccine and then you can come take a class with me.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you talk just a little bit about pricing with the senior center? Like, were they willing to pay a per person budget, or because you obviously had a lot of costs with the supplies?
Yeah, it covered my supplies. It was somewhat of community service too. It covered my supplies. I joined up for Zoom Pro so I could have no limit on the time.
Right.
And I would say that there was probably like $15 profit for me on each one. So it was more of an act of love, but I really enjoyed doing it. But they were fine with paying $50 a person.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's amazing.
That got a really nice bowl and something they'd want to keep and be proud of what they turned out. So it wasn't a huge income thing, but it was really good for my soul.
Yeah, and I feel like things like that. I'm going to just give huge credit to Gina for inviting me to do a course for Florvana. We all learned new technology and how to be engaged in different ways in 2020. So you learned how to teach groups on Zoom. And Gina, you did a lot of online teaching and you dragged me into it. So can you talk a little bit about how that went?
Yeah, it's been so interesting. I feel like I've just expanded so much with the whole online learning. I mean, I've been taking online courses since,
you're a purchaser of other people's courses, right?
I know how to take online courses, but like teaching them is a whole different story. Doing an online summit, in partnership with another florist, Sean Michael Foley, we came up with Florvana. And it's basically a collaborative effort of other florists just teaching, sharing knowledge, insights, creativity, everything under the sun. We even had somebody come on and do astrology readings, which was really cool.
And aromatherapy, right?
Yeah, aromatherapy. So just anything that encompasses creativity, which we all really needed. It was a really cool collaboration, and we're planning on doing another one in March. So keep an eye out for that. But it also pushed me, and I'm sure it also pushed Deborah a little bit to get some online courses started. And I'm actually diving into the planning organization. I will have a course launching soon for Trello, which is an organizational online task management system, and Canva. I don't know how many of you have to be your own graphic designer, but Canva is amazing. And then Dubsado. Dubsado is what I use to client manage. So basically I do all my weddings with Dubsado software. So that's going to be a little bundle, and I'm actually launching it pretty soon. So
wait, I thought you already had a bundle. Did that come and go, or
no? So this is the bundle that I've been working on for a bit.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah, I just didn't. It kind of December got away from me.
No, it's okay. No apologies. I just have to say, when Florvana happened, and Cindy, did you attend to that, or did you see anything about it?
I did after the fact about it. So it's like, I want to know more.
Well, yeah, we need to invite you to the one coming up. But when in its first iteration in around Labor Day weekend, right around the end of August, there were, 4 days of online courses with a whole group of people that Sean Michael Foley and Gina Thresher, who are both AIFD, looped in, but not everybody was AIFD. I was like, oh, are you sure I can be part of this? And
we weren't going for people with credentials.
No, but
we're looking for specific people who share knowledge and share it well. There was no credentials necessary. We had growers, we had all walks of life. So
yeah. And I didn't mean to try to pigeonhole it, but I guess what my first thought was, I can't do this. And Gina, you're like, look, you can get on Zoom, you can record something. I actually recorded it on my iPad. And why don't you do it so you can start online teaching? And it was, again, COVID forced us into these things out of necessity, and now they've just to me, it seems like we're folding them into our regular business model. So yeah, Cindy, you definitely need to touch base, and we'll see how to. I mean, I don't want to speak for Gina because she might have her March 1 plan, but at least have you attend and give your thoughts on what is effective. Gina's course on Canva was a mini course because it was like 30 minutes. I learned so much, and I know that just sort of then made me want more.
Yeah, that was just scratching the surface. So that's what this bundle is coming out, is going to be like a deep dive into each of those 3 subjects together, because that's what I use, and it helps so much. Yeah, and I mean, you can do the intro courses. They're still available on my website for free. So basically, like the one that you watched, Deborah, that one's
available. Okay. I thought you had something up. Okay,
yeah,
right.
That's the one I kind of released a little sneak peek of it so that people would check it out if they were interested, kind of get on the wait list for it.
So that is you're referring more to like teaching business techniques and for creative people, but then teaching design online is also something that, like when Cindy just described doing, it's maybe in the past we thought we needed a big production studio or something, but now it's just a laptop camera. I mean, are you teaching in front of the laptop, Cindy, or how are you filming that?
I'm teaching in front of my phone. Right now I'm talking to you on my phone. I went on Amazon, and for $53, I bought, it's a tripod light ring with all kinds of settings. You screw your phone into it, put an earbud in, and away you go. So I didn't even use a laptop.
Wow.
But it works great. The lighting is good. Talk about inexpensive. It all fit in this little tiny bag, and it just was perfect.
Are you doing Zoom consults with clients, or I guess now that you're not doing weddings, they're probably not asking for it as much. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll still be doing Persian weddings, but I want to focus on the soufre piece just because there's so much. And I would much prefer that there was a florist doing the floral part and I can just focus on the soufre. I was spreading myself way too thin. And that was one of my New Year's things, is to be kinder to myself and not try to do everything.
Oh my gosh. Can you please say that again and put it on a t-shirt?
Yes. And there's so much business out there. It's really fun knowing other florists and being able to say, I've got a bride. I think you'd be a perfect match. And that frees me up to do some of the things I wanted to pursue that I put on the back shelf because I was just so involved in the weddings, which was perfect for a long time.
Well, what you're alluding to is community, and that's what makes being in this world, and at least for me, I know with Slow Flowers, and the relationships are really what make it special, because otherwise we do spend a lot of time at our desks by ourselves, and how do we derive meaning in the midst of being locked down? It's really the connections with others.
Definitely.
Wow. So what's the one thing that you're excited about for 2021, Cindy, that you haven't shared yet? Anything?
I guess what I'm most excited about is just I've already kind of shared it, just pivoting and doing something different. I would like to be more involved in some community affairs where, even doing classes via Zoom for people that haven't been able to get out. Or, the one thing I thought about is Union Gospel Mission orders flowers from me, and they have, different living situations, and, providing some classes for the people that are using their services.
Wow. I mean, that's sort of another one of my kind of beliefs that we're all looking at, is flowers for mental health, flowers for wellness. So it's, nothing could be more profound
and
than
helping
that.
A lot of it's women that are living in shelters, and just giving them the confidence that they can create something beautiful.
Oh, keep me posted on that. That's really cool, Cindy. I know, Gina, you've got all kinds of irons in the fire, but anything you want to highlight that you're excited about?
Oh, I mean, we've covered, I'm super excited about the next Florvana coming up. I think we're going to be very much focusing on green practices and being more mindful. Going into 2021, there's not really room for being wasteful. One, it's expensive to be very wasteful. We have to really streamline and get get into using some more eco-friendly practices. So that's what this Floravana is going to focus on. And, being local. I'm really excited about this.
And those dates, have you announced those yet?
We haven't technically announced them yet, but I could kind of give you a little sneak peek. It's probably going to be around March 5th. So.
Okay. That's great. Well, maybe what I'll do is, first of all, in our show notes, I want to have lots of photos of you, both of you, and your work, and any links for things that people can follow up on. So I'll chase you down and get that and share them so our listeners can find and follow you. But I just want to tell you how much I appreciate both of you so much. You really have made me feel like I know I am not a florist, but I am friends with florists, and I'm part of this community, and your contributions to our community is so important. So thanks for sharing your stories today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for having us. Cindy, I haven't ever gotten to meet you, and this has really been great. I don't think we've actually ever met in person.
No, I'm so surprised.
I know, it's really
your work. Because
I'm a busy bee when I go to the florists, the wholesalers too. I'm always talking and meeting people, and I don't know how I might have.
That's okay.
I usually go later in the day. I know that people that have like shops and things that they need to get back, to their business. So to me, it's like I feel like I'm not.
You don't want to go at 6 a.m.
That's so funny because I'm never there at 6 a.m. either. It's so bad. I am not an early bird.
Then we probably sit next to each other admiring flowers, but I'd love to meet you in person.
We're going to have a floral field trip to some of these micro farms. So even if we have to drive in our own cars and social distance, and we'll bring our picnics, as soon as we get through this gray, wet, dreary weather that we're all experiencing.
I look forward to that.
Thank you both so much. Happy New Year, and thanks for being part of this. I'm thrilled to share this conversation. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
That was a fun conversation, and I'm so glad we recorded it for today. You can visit deborahprinzing.com to find episode 488 and see photos and links to follow both Cindy and Gina in the new year. And Gina has shared details about her upcoming online courses and to register for details on the Spring Floravana Summit, which I'll also be involved in. Our next sponsor thank you goes to Longfield Gardens, which provides home gardeners with high-quality flower bulbs and perennials. Their online store offers plants for every region and every season, from tulips and daffodils to dahlias, caladiums, and amaryllis. Check out the full catalog at Longfield Gardens. That's longfield-gardens.com. Connecting with more of you, either in person or virtually, thanks to technology, is one of our ongoing goals. I encourage you to take advantage of our monthly Slow Flowers member virtual meetups. The January session took place last week, but if you missed it, I'll share the replay video link in today's show notes so you can watch. The theme was Floral Wellness, and I want to thank Rachel Johnson of Simply Grounded, who introduced us to Sogetsu Ikebana and demonstrated 3 incredible designs for us to learn from. This Friday, January 15th at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, you're invited to join our free webinar focusing on how to create botanical couture fashions for the upcoming American Flowers Week 2021 campaign. If you have ever been interested in participating as a creator of a floral fashion, this session is for you. As of the date of this recording, 10 past botanical couture creators are confirmed to present, and we will hear how each conceptualized their unique, iconic look for past American Flowers Week collections. I'll share the link to sign up in today's show notes, and I can't wait for you to join us. And save the date for the February Slow Flowers member virtual meetup. We're moving it a little earlier next month because of Valentine's Day. So we'll gather online February 5th, that's a Friday, to learn more about growing and designing with hellebores. More to come on that in our February newsletter. And if you're not currently receiving the newsletter, find the subscribe link in today's show notes. Our final sponsor thank you goes to the Seattle Wholesale Growers Market, a farmer-owned cooperative committed to providing the very best the Pacific Northwest has to offer. in cut flowers, foliage, and plants. The Growers Market's mission is to foster a vibrant marketplace that sustains local flower farms and provides top-quality products and services to the local floral industry. Visit them at seattlewholesalegrowersmarket.com. Thanks so much for joining us today. The Slow Flowers podcast has been downloaded more than 677,000 times by listeners like you. Thank you for listening, commenting, and sharing. It means so much. As our movement gains more supporters and more passionate participants who believe in the importance of our domestic cut flower industry, the momentum is contagious. I know you feel it too. I value your support and invite you to show your thanks to support Slow Flowers' ongoing advocacy, education, and outreach activities. You can find the donate button in the column to the right at deborahprinzing.com. I'm Deborah Prinzing, host and producer of the Slow Flowers podcast. Next week, you're invited to join me in putting more slow flowers on the table, one vase at a time. And if you like what you hear, please consider logging onto iTunes and posting a listener review. The content and opinions expressed here are either mine alone or those of my guests alone, independent of any podcast sponsor or other person, company, or organization. The Slow Flowers podcast is engineered and edited by Andrew Brenlin. Learn more about his work at soundbodymovement.com.